everybody, and thank you for being here. My name is Matthew Crone, and I'm an attorney on behalf of the Hurley family. We have reached a settlement in the case of Johnny Hurley versus City of Arvada in the amount of $2,775,000. The settlement agreement also contemplates a memorial to commemorate the day of June 21st, 2021. Johnny Hurley is a hero of the highest order. Without doubt, he saved numerous lives on June 21st, 2021, when he rushed towards danger and stopped a mass murderer. His bravery and his courage shall never be forgotten. We also wish to recognize and honor the life of Arvada Police Department officer Gordon Beesley, who was murdered by the shooter that day. By all accounts, Officer Beesley was an incredible public servant and an even better human being. Tragically, Johnny Hurley paid the ultimate sacrifice for his heroic actions that day when he was shot by an Arvada Police Department officer while securing the murderer's weapon. This case was scheduled to go to trial on October 6th of this year. The case was heavily litigated. This case was incredibly important to our law firm and our legal team who have worked tirelessly on this case for the better part of 2 years. This case was particularly important to us because of the incredible family that we represented. Their courage, their heroism, and their bravery, it's easy to see where Johnny derived his remarkable attributes from. And we are honored to have represented them throughout this process. And so with me to my left is Kathleen Boleyn. She is one of the most incredible and resilient people I've ever had the pleasure to know. Erin Hurley is Johnny's little sister. They were as close as any siblings could ever hope to be, and it has just been, their love for Johnny is remarkable. And so I'm going to invite them, Kathleen, up to share some words about her relationship with her son, and then we will be happy to answer some questions afterward. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words. First, I must thank my legal team. I think many lawyers would not have taken this case, but my team not only saw that the case had merit, they believed in it. They believed Johnny stopped a mass shooting, and they believed that a light needed to shine on his heroism and subsequent death. I am forever grateful for their compassion, knowledge, patience, generosity, and steadfast hard work to guide me to this satisfactory conclusion. You can't erase what Johnny did just because his life was erased. Without my son, my life is diminished. But without Johnny's heroic spirit, I think the world is diminished. In the 2 years, 3 months since this happened, I find that I'm stronger than I thought I was, and sadder than I used to be. Though I'll always have an ache in my heart for Johnny, what pains me now is not knowing how to help my daughter live the second half of her life without her beloved brother, with whom she was very close. He was her North Star. I'm happy to talk at length about Johnny through your questions.
How are you feeling having the settlement wrapped up?
How do I feel having the settlement wrapped up? Relieved. I'm grateful that I was guided so well through the entire process. I'm relieved to not have to go through the anxiety and stress of trial, and to save my friends and all the witnesses and Johnny's acquaintances, to save them from that as well. So very relieved. Thank you.
No amount of money will bring your son back.
Given that that won't happen, yes. If the law were fair, as it were, then maybe it would be $2.775 million for every life that Johnny saved, including that of the officer whose hand shot him.
Can you talk about Johnny a little bit? I know that he obviously was very near and dear to both of your hearts.
Yes.
These pictures, it looks like he was a happy young man, very close with your family. Can you tell us more about him as a person?
Yes, he was an affable guy. He made friends easily and kept them for a long time. I think any place he worked, he still had friends that he kept throughout time. He could cook you up a mean meal in a kitchen that's fully staffed. He would own it, or he could cook you a really good meal over an open fire. He had a lot of skills that he did very well. He was excellent at riding his skateboard, snowboard. He did a lot of snowshoeing. He even enjoyed winter camping. He had a beautiful singing voice. I got to hear him sing Ain't Misbehavin' with a backup group, and he played a djembe while he was singing. He could bust out some pretty incredible dance moves. And he also knew how to lay down tracks on a loop machine to do his own kind of rap music.
I take it he was a chef by trade?
Yes. Yes, he was a chef many times. Yes.
Does your family have any plans on how you guys will utilize the money from the settlement?
We have not got that far. It's so new. It's too new. We don't have any plans. Thank you.
Can you talk about the memorial? I know that was very important to you as part of this settlement.
Well, there again, we will be working in tandem with the city, and we have not sat down to discuss that. I'm sure something will involve a plaque. I don't know about a statue. I have no idea, but something that we will definitely have input.
And I imagine it will be in the area where this happened.
I certainly hope so.
You talked about how meaningful that would be to have a remembrance of
Thank you. It will be extremely meaningful. Johnny was a hero, not just because I say so. Ask anyone who was in the square that day. Ask the chief of police. Ask the community of Arvada. I think they all remember clearly what happened that day. And we continue to have a commemoration on that date every year. I think we will continue to do so, and it's remarkable how many people come to attend that.
You kind of touched on it there, but I'm sure through all this legal process you've had contact and conversation with people who Johnny saved that day.
Yes.
What did they tell you?
They talk about how dramatic the moment was, how frightening it was. I've had people come up to me crying, saying, I know I'm alive today because of what your son did.
I know it doesn't outweigh the pain that you feel by losing her, but is it any comfort to hear that?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm so proud of what Johnny did. I'm so proud.
One of the issues you raised in the settlement especially was officers not giving a warning before they shot. Is that something you want to continue to advocate for in terms of a legal change or anything like that?
I would love for that to be a legal change, but let me step aside.
One thing that Kathleen and I have discussed, my name is Omid Asmuda. I'm another attorney on this case. I worked alongside Matt throughout the life cycle of this case and alongside Kathleen and Aaron, who are just remarkable clients and remarkable people, and I've loved to get to know them. It's been a pleasure. Kathleen and I have had many emotional and difficult conversations about giving a warning, and I think I think we can agree that the state of the law can't be that no warnings are ever necessary, and that warnings, they serve a purpose in the right case. We think that a warning was appropriate in this case, but this case is not the case to mandate warnings in every case going forward. It's just not feasible, and it's not practical, and it's not the way that we want to shape the law. And so I think while this was a good case to say a warning was necessary, we've come to the decision that really the message that this case should be the message to get across with this case is that officers need to be certain about who they're shooting. They need to be certain that the person that they're shooting when they decide to use deadly force poses an imminent threat. And only when they are certain should they resort to the last resort of deadly force. But you can take the floor again, Kathleen. Thanks.
Thank you. I do frequently have people ask me, or, they are outraged that the officer did not announce themselves, because it's what we are accustomed to understanding. So.
Do the terms of the settlement call for any changes in how the Arvada Police Department operates going forward?
That is not in the agreement itself. No.
Was there any apology or any admission that they should have given a warning or something like that?
This case was in active litigation up until a few days ago, and typically, admissions of liability are not given during active litigation. I can't speak to what lessons Arvada has taken from this case itself. We would hope that they would take the lesson that Omi just discussed, that when officers decide to use deadly force, they need to be certain that they are using that force against the right person. In this case, it was not the right person. Johnny should not have been shot. The officer did not shoot the bad guy. He shot the hero.
Is there a difference then between making sure the officer knows who they're shooting versus giving a warning? Are you making a distinction that you can do that in a different way than saying police officer?
There are certain principles of policing that come into play in this case. One of them is that officers should give warnings where possible. Another is that officers should be certain about who they are shooting when they decide to use deadly force. And I think both of those were reasons that we felt that there was a substantial likelihood that a jury would have awarded a verdict in our favor, because this officer did not provide a warning, and this officer shot the wrong person. And for those reasons, we felt confident in our case. At the same time, we can acknowledge that this was a volatile situation. There was an active shooter in a heavily populated area, and so this is a abnormal case in some respects.
What is the status of that officer at this point?
In what respect?
As far as employment, things like that?
That officer is no longer living in the state of Colorado, and is obviously no longer employed by the Arvada Police Department.
Can I ask who approached you first about settling? Was it you guys or was it the city?
I can't answer that question. I apologize.
We have a couple questions from the Facebook Live. Tyler Pierce asked for Kathleen, do you forgive the officer who shot Johnny? And did he reach out to you to apologize?
He did not reach out to me. But I would like to say some words about forgiveness. The only true closure is through forgiveness. The quality of forgiveness is larger than all of us, but we can all tap into it. I know that my heart has a great capacity for forgiveness, and I know that No one wants his or her life to be judged on the worst thing they ever did. Our world is so full, I think, of hate and blame and retribution and self-aggrandizement and selfishness. And I think we need to make more space for forgiveness. When we hold on to regret or anger or fear or retribution through not forgiving, we are holding ourselves back from moving forward in life. And that is true of the forgiver and the forgiven. Around the time that this happened, I kept imagining how I would feel if I were the officer when I discovered that I had killed the Good Samaritan. And I could not stop crying, and I projected those feelings onto the shooting officer. But I did not know how he felt. And for a long time, I knew that my spirit forgave him. But as Johnny's mother, I struggled with how to do that. But time has passed. I am stronger. I think it's important. I hope he needs forgiveness to continue to live a better life. Forgiving does not absolve someone of accountability or needing to face consequences. But I think it's necessary for everyone to move forward into a better life.
And then we have one more question, but it's for the legal team. Why did the case take this long to settle? Why did it settle right before the trial?
Well, the wheels of justice always move very slow. And generally, when you are facing a trial, in the vast majority of cases, it really brings things into focus. And I think our system really promotes and supports that the parties are the ones who try to figure out how to resolve their dispute and not a jury of strangers. And so, but definitely when you're about to face the jury, these types of discussions on can we come to a mutual resolution generally happen. Yes?
This question's also for the law firm. Settlement amount was less than previous settlements you guys have gotten in other officer-involved shootings. Are you able to say why the sum was less in this case?
I wouldn't say it was less or more. Every case is different, and we've certainly had cases that have been less. Every case is different. Every jurisdiction is different, and the amount is oftentimes just people doing a calculated risk of what a jury may do. But I wouldn't say that this number is somehow less, and therefore Johnny's death means less, or Johnny's life means less. Quite the opposite. This is almost $3 million. And I think if you check really large, high-profile cases nationally, you will find that this case is very much amongst the upper end. And certainly there have been huge, high-profile settlements across this country that have been much less. Sure, we can give you some cards before you all leave. Yeah. I will answer your question a little bit about who approached who. These things are generally very fluid, and in our system, attorneys generally speak ongoing about if these cases get resolved. So it's not that somebody approached anyone, it's just generally part of our duties to actively always engage. And I think the accurate answer would be that this was just a simultaneous discussion.
Well,
okay.
Thank you everyone for coming, and we appreciate your attention to this very important